Took me a little longer to get back to the this video. I had a little crisis with my plumbing, and the pseudo plumber came out and recognized the crisis, and so now I don't have any water in my house. It was before, if I wanted to flush the toilet, I had water everywhere else. If I wanted to flush the toilet, I would just turn that little valve underneath the toilet, and that would shut off the water because it would just keep running and running and running because it was leaking. The guy comes to fix it, and now I have to shut off the fucking water outside the house, the apartment, because that valve leaks. And I still haven't heard back. I wonder. That was going on for 3 months. I wonder how long this is going to go on for. Whenever I want to use water, I got to go turn it on with a cheap valve outside attached to a PVC line, and then until that breaks. Anyway, what were we talking about? Venezuela. Lordy, 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 lordy. The Cartel de las Solas. Cartel de las Solas. The Cartel of the Suns. Dum, 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 dum. Says fucking Little Lion Marco. Little Lion Marco. Talking about the drug, the narco terrorist, the narco terrorist organization, the Cartel of the Suns, being run by Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela, bringing in all that fentanyl that I showed you weeks ago. Our own fucking government agencies and the ones who were in charge of, and of course the U.S. Coast Guard, say there's at the zero fentanyl coming in from fucking Venezuela. Zero. While Donald Trump runs around saying every fucking fishing boat he illegally blows up, which he could be charged for murder, by the way, every fishing boat he blows up saves 25,000 American lives a year. He's blown up like 10. How many American lives are lost to fentanyl every year? Someone's math doesn't fucking work. Because fentanyl doesn't kill that many fucking... That's 250,000 he's already saved who die from fentanyl every year. There aren't that many fentanyl overdoses every year, boys and girls. And zero fentanyl comes from Venezuela. What we have here is failure to communicate. This is why you need conspiracy realists, aka journalists. This is why folks need us. Because without us, these motherfuckers are just going to go out there and go way off the fucking rails, making up all kinds of shit that serve their interests. If Little Lion Marco really, really wanted to get and lock down a narco-terrorist from that hemisphere, our backyard, to save American lives, all he would have to do is ask his wife to tell him where her brother is. Because Little Lion Marco is known throughout the expat community and, say, I don't know, the Miami Herald, as Little Narco Marco. Why? Because he's best friends with all the real narco traffickers coming out of fucking, it has been for years and years, including his wife's brother, his brother-in-law, who was part of the cocaine cowboys back in the 70s and 80s and was arrested and convicted and sentenced to 35 years in prison for bringing in 15 tons of the fucking happy powder back in his fucking cocaine cowboy days. Turns out, while he was running for office in 2015, 2016, and Donald Trump was calling him Little Lion Marco before he was forced to make him into his Secretary of State this time around, Little Lion Marco was staying with his brother-in-law in Miami. In a nice, expensive fucking pad, paid for with cocaine fucking illegal narcotics trafficking. You think I'm lying? Look it up. So Little Lion Marco is front and center talking about the Cartel de las Solas, the cartel of the suns, dum 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 dum, and how dangerous it is. The Cartel de las Olas, the cartel of the suns, has something really unique, well, not really unique anymore, used to be, not anymore, in common with the Mujahideen. Do you know what that is? We created them both. We created them and we ran them. For much the same reason, kind of. The Cartel of the Suns is called the Cartel of the Suns as an inside joke for the individuals back in early 1990s. During this time, when this kind of shit was going on, and I think who was the guy who was El Presidente back then? It's just one of our puppets. One of our tin pot fucking Banana Republic dictators in Venezuela. 1992, a guy by the name of Hugo Chavez tried to fucking run a fucking Bolivian revolution to get rid of our puppet regime down there. And it failed. So he ended up in 1998 running for president and winning on a platform, left-leaning socialist platform, Bolivarian revolution a la Simon Bolivar, I guess. But Chavismo was born. And Venezuela, as we had liked it for so long, because it provided us everything our national interests needed, ceased to be. So now, Little Lion Marco, with his brother-in-law, drug dealer and drug importer and drug trafficker, and his buddies, they want to regime change Venezuela to get back to the good old days, to make America great again for American business. So, back in 1993, 1992, the CIA was in the business of bringing cocaine via the cocaine cowboys and that whole thing from Latin America, our backyard, mainly from Colombia, into the United States. Crack cocaine was created on the West Coast, but it was created not by the Bloods or the Crips, as they'll tell you. It was created by a guy with a PhD in agriculture and business, two dual PhDs, who was working for the DEA. Gary Webb covered all that stuff. His Dark Alliances work, which again was groundbreaking stuff, revolutionary stuff. He, quote unquote, killed himself 10 years to the day after its first publication. This was happening back in that time frame, because what the CIA wanted was dark money. They wanted money that was outside the reach of congressional fucking oversight, so they could use that money to do other things. Think Iran-Contra back in the fucking 80s, okay? They could use that money to do other things, nefarious things, things that they weren't supposed to be doing, things they got busted for doing, and then they had to stop doing, so they created the National Endowment for Democracy to continue doing it again. Much like, after 9/11, Dick Cheney and his fucking neocon fucking Nazis came up with this plan to do what's called total information awareness, to know everything about all of us all the time so that there couldn't be another 9/11, right? Congress said, that's fucking creepy as shit. That's the fact that you would even come up with that dumb fucking shit. So they said, no, you're not doing that. So what do? They privatize. We have Palantir. We have Peter Thiel. Palantir becomes the flagship for total information awareness. Same thing happened with the National Endowment for Democracy. They created that because they got in trouble doing regime changes in other countries, color revolutions in other countries, assassinations in other countries. And Congress said, what the fuck are you doing? No, stop. So they did. They just privatized it out to the National Endowment for Democracy. What happens in 1992-93 is they're trying to bring in the cocaine into the United States to destabilize a certain community and make a bunch of money at the same time, right? That's brilliant to these motherfuckers. Goes back to the old days of the fucking, opium wars between, United Kingdom and fucking China. But they're doing that on our own people here. No question. They get found out for it. They get busted for it. But what they had created was this made-up fucking cartel. They were taking the cocaine out of Colombia. They were using, back in 1992-93, the complicit fucking leadership in Venezuela, long before Hugo Chavez came into play. And they were using the National Guard to bring in the fucking cocaine and then distribute the cocaine to various fucking people in the United States who would then disperse it. 1992-93. And as a kind of a joke, an inside joke, they named this route. They named these people who were bringing in these players. They called them the Cartel de las Solas, the Cartel of the Suns. Why did they call them the Cartel of the Suns? They called them the Cartel of the Suns because military rank. In the United States, if you're a general, you can be a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star general, right? In the National Guard in Venezuela at the time, they didn't have stars, but they did have the same kind of delineation in terms of rank of upper. They had these stupid little fucking suns with the, angry face on them, patch. So there would be a 3-sun general or a 4-sun general or a 1-sun general, or whatever the case may be. And that's why they called it the Cartel of the Suns. Because the inside joke was, it was our puppets in fucking Venezuela who were bringing the shit in for the Central Intelligence Agency. There was no cartel. It wasn't even really the Presidente at the time, though he was, of course, obviously aware of it, didn't give a shit. But that's what it was. That's where Cartel of the Suns comes from. If you don't know, I'll tell you, Hillary Clinton was once, and you can find this video on YouTube all day long, asked directly, I think it was 2015 when she was running, and somebody was asking her something about, Al Qaeda and Mujahideen, and they're like, but we funded it, and she goes, yeah, we created the Mujahideen. We did so in order to destabilize Afghanistan because they were getting too close to the Soviet Union. And it worked great, she said. The translation of the Mujahideen was the list. That's all it was. And it was managed by a guy who was one of the elder sons, not the one in line for the power, but one of the elder sons of the second wealthiest family in all of Saudi Arabia, the Bin Ladens. The Bin Laden group was a construction company, a massive construction company that had all the contracts with the House of Saudis, the royal family, and U.S. Department of Defense. So we got a second or third rate fucking son, a guy by the name of Osama, from the Bin Laden family, to run this list for us, a list of Takfiri, Wahhabist, Salafist mercenaries that we could use whenever we needed to destabilize a country, a government, with terrorism. And that's how the Mujahideen was created. It was us. We ran it. That's how the Cartel of the Suns was created. It was us. We made it. It's Fugazi. It's Fugazi. Now, Al Qaeda becomes Al Nusra and ISIS and Tahrir al-Sham and all of these other things, and they splinter off, but they're all still basically the same thing, and we continue to run them to this day. Do they continue to bring in fucking cocaine and fentanyl from other places in order to generate revenue? Yes. Harder for me to express to you the exact facts about that, other than to say there was a guy 3 months ago who came out who was a whistleblower from, I think it was Fort Bragg, as a matter of fact, talking about drug dealing via Fort Bragg, through Fort Bragg, and people ending up getting killed and mysterious circumstances, and these two guys were shot, execution style, on the campus of Fort Bragg. And he talked about the fact that they were using narcotics trafficking to destabilize, to generate funds, and then also to use those funds to destabilize other countries or to get rid of people they didn't want that were in the way of our quote-unquote national interest. Black operation money that was never going to be under any kind of scrutiny from Congress. Of course, it's still going on. It was going on back in 1992. It's going on fucking today. You can go pull up, as a conspiracy realist, all day long, irregular and unconventional warfare manuals from right down here, MacDill Air Force Base. They're older. The new ones, they get pissed off if you fucking, leak those things. But you can go pull them up all day long. They're all over the internet now. These are PDFs, and you can read them. And it talks about all different kinds of ways to use proxy armies and other things to destabilize unfriendly regimes so that you can regime change them and then bring in somebody like Machado, for instance, who will be really friendly to our national interests. I saw her, she gave a speech before the Adam Smith Foundation or some shit. Some bunch of neoliberal globalist fucks. And she was saying to them, I can bring in 1.7 trillion. I can guarantee you 1.7 trillion in fucking opportunity. And there's more on the back end All you gotta do is come to my country and bomb the shit out of my people and force a regime change and shut down the fucking institutions of fucking democracy and then install her as the glorious grand poopah fucking emperor, and she will immediately, she said this, offer up to American businesses, to British businesses, to Spanish businesses, to French businesses, the wealth of their fucking land and natural resources for someone from the outside to come pillage and plunder and take from the people of Venezuela. And she would be glad to do it because freedom and democracy. And they just cheered and cheered, these fucking libertarians, neoliberals. Cheered and cheered and cheered. And she got a Nobel Peace Prize. Does this shit continue to this day? Yes. I mean, goddamn. Little narco fucking Marco, he's Secretary of State. With his background, that should be enough. That should be enough. And he gets pissed off whenever you can find interviews with him talking about it. It's always Spanish language interviews. CNN, even CNN, won't fucking ask him questions about this. Even fucking MSNBC or ABC News. Hell, he could probably go on fucking Jimmy Dore. And Jimmy Dore wouldn't even ask him questions like this. Of course not. No. They're not going to ask him about his brother-in-law who was an actual narco trafficker and was sentenced to 35 fucking years. No. You wouldn't ask him why he was staying in this opulent fucking condo paid for with cocaine money while the scourge of fucking crack cocaine was ravaging the fucking inner cities of America. No, you wouldn't do that. That would be in poor taste. But he's going to accuse Nicolas Maduro of doing something that Nicolas Maduro has nothing to do with. And the fucking media, like the New York Times, will just buy right along into it, even though it is the dumbest thing. The Cartel of the Suns. The Suns referred to 1992. Don't tell me I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. There was a 60 Minutes expose in 1993 about this shit. And then from the 60 Minutes expose, the Senate had hearings and they brought these motherfuckers in and they confessed to what they were doing. Don't tell me what the fuck I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Even Google AI can't find it in its stomach to actually lie that much about it. It'll say, well, what the user, me, in the question I asked, what the user is referring to is, yes, there's a discrepancy between, history of the Cartel of the Suns and what current administrations will tell you. But then it'll go on and list all the different proof and all the different sources and all the different people you can contact and you can read and writing about it. It's the reality. That's reality. That's conspiracy realism. And that's the name of that tune. There's a good article that I got you a part of here. And this is from, who is this from? I think this is from Guardian. But I give you links to all this other stuff in here. And I show you what the AI bullshit was talking about and a couple of links to different articles talking about this back in 1993. And that's the Cartel of the Suns. That's the patch. And if you were a 3-star general or their equivalent in their National Guard, then you would have 3 of those. And that's why it was called the Cartel of the Suns. The move to target the already proscribed group, Cartel de los Sols, the Cartel of the Suns, was announced by Marco Rubio, Narco Marco, on Sunday. Headed by the, quote, illegitimate Nicolas Maduro, the group has corrupted the institutions of government in Venezuela and is responsible for terrorist violence conducted by and with other designated FTOs, as well as for trafficking drugs into the United States and Europe. Was he talking about his buddy, his brother-in-law? The U.S. Secretary of State then tweeted, generating excitement among hardline adversaries of Maduro, who interpreted the announcement as proof Washington was preparing to intensify its push to force a South American dictator. He's not a dictator. He's elected from power. You see how the fucking language works? That's the Guardian. Yes, I don't support regime change in Syria, but Assad's a guy who kills his own people. Language is very powerful. Let me explain something else to you. Oh, by the way, yes. So Donald Trump, even though they claim that the ally countries of Venezuela are not having any effect, meaning that fucking big flotilla of Russian military vessels, including a nuclear submarine floating on top so you can see it, skirting U.S. international waters on the East Coast on the way down to the Caribbean, into Venezuela. They would have you believe that that has no effect on mighty Trump, Emperor Trump, and what he's going to do in Venezuela. Of course it does. But again, with what happened in the UN Security Council, who the fuck knows? Russia and China? Let America take all the fucking oil. Who gives a shit? Let Israel take the whole of the Middle East. Who gives a shit? Right? As long as they get rich, right? I don't know. I don't know. But they sent them down there, so that meant something. And they kept a couple of them down there, so that meant something. And we haven't invaded yet, so that also means something. Clearly, as I said before, this buildup of military power down there, other than looking like another goddamn Cuban Missile Crisis, is meant to destabilize Venezuela, to threaten the people of Venezuela, so maybe the people of Venezuela will turn on Maduro, which is stupid. It's not going to ever happen. Maduro did something, and I want to stress the importance of it, because you may or may not know. Of course, Donald Trump also said, yeah, but we got our stuff down there, and we're going to, but maybe we'll have a conversation with him now, with the head of the fucking Cartel de los Sols, the Cartel of the Suns, dum, dum, dum. If he was actually Noriega, if he was actually the guy from Colombia, if he was actually a fucking narco trafficker, then he'd already have had conversations with us and probably hung out with Marco Rubio in his fucking brother-in-law's pad in Miami. He'd already be a buddy of ours. He'd already be on the payroll. The fact that he's not is why he's being accused of being a narco trafficker. But Trump says, yeah, maybe we'll talk to him instead. I don't imagine that fucking Russian battle cruiser down there has anything to do with that. But we'll see. Maybe the abstention on his fucking thing in the UN Security Council has something to do with this as well. Maybe a little quid pro quo by the Russians and the Chinese. However you look at it, Maduro did something interesting. And I want you to understand what it was. It was actually a brilliant move, but not for the reasons one might think. About 2 months ago when this shit was kicking off, he bought a bunch of fucking small arms, like AK-47s, like real AK-47s. And there's cases and cases and shipments of these things all over the fucking world. He got a bunch of them. I mean, he bought a bunch of them. And he started handing them out to people. And I mean, just regular, everyday people. People. The guy who runs the bakery. The fucking local priests. People. Everybody. We're talking a lot of AK-47s and a lot of fucking munitions. And at first, I thought, well, this is good, because if that means if the U.S. decides to invade after bombing the shit out of them with cruise missiles, the people will be able to defend themselves. That's not why he did it. I was, note the date and the time, I was mistaken. Why did he do it? 2002, Chavissimo Hugo Chavez was removed via a general's coup. We had purchased, and by we I mean George W. Bush and his fucking clan of fucking world-conquering neocons and fucking 9/11 terrorist neocons, decided to regime change once and for all Venezuela and hand over that booty to our national interest. Yay! So they got the generals, a couple of them who were close to him, to betray him, and they snatched him up and they handed him over to CIA types and NED types and State Department types, who immediately put him on a Marine helicopter, which was covertly hiding near the fucking palace, and it took off and flew across the fucking, it was taken off over the Atlantic. Or out in the Caribbean Ocean, Caribbean Sea, whatever the fuck it is. At that particular time, the head of the Venezuelan Chamber of Commerce decides he is now Generalissimo. He is now the businessman's emperor of fucking Venezuela. And so he has this big meeting with all these local business people. And they're like, yay, we've got rid of this. Now we can have a free market. We can have no regulations. We can do what the fuck we want. We can fuck people over, and we can sell all of fucking Venezuela and its interests to America's national interests, and we can get money on the back end. It's a great, wonderful day. And they were in the fucking palace and celebrating. What they didn't realize was there was about 1 million Venezuelans who had something different to say about the idea. And they were coming down the fucking street and they were swarming, about 1 million, a lot. And they had farm implements and hoes and axes and pitchforks and torches. And they come to the grounds, and the palace guard, understanding this is this is awful. This is gonna be an awful thing. They go, just give me an hour. Give us an hour, please. If you love your country, you want to see it, just give us an hour. And so those people were outside while these fucking business leaders, without knowing it, were inside, just patting each other on the back and saying all the business plans, and now they're going to make all this money. It's great neoliberalism. And the fucking guy, the head of the fucking Venezuelan Chamber of Commerce, which, by the way, is a subsidiary, wholly owned, of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, you know, he was handing out fucking job titles to all these fucking fat, old business folks. And in comes the fucking palace guard, and they say, you need to look out the fucking window. These guys are going to come in here, and they're going to rip you apart biblically. It's going to be fucking, they're going to slaughter you with farm implements. And they looked out the window and said, oh, fuck. I said, you better make some phone calls. And they called one. They made one. And that helicopter turned around, landed, and the doors opened, And the U.S. military guys let this little fucking guy with dark hair out. And they took the sack off his head and they took the handcuffs off. And they brought him back. 2002. Fast forward, not that long ago. A guy by the name of Assad in Syria. We wanted to regime change because we want to put an oil pipeline through, and because Israel wants half of the country and the glorious Kurds want the other half of the country. This guy named Assad, Bashar al-Assad, son of another Assad who ran the place for a very long time, he was in the way and has been for quite some time. And Barack Obama was trying to regime change him and all this shit using terrorists. Terrorists trained in this place called El Tanf, which is a military base in Syria, in the south, that we run, and nobody can come close to it because we'll fuck you up. And we train Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra, Tahrir al-Sham. We train these fucking terrorists, and then we kick them out there. Or we sign them up to be part of Syrian Defense Forces, Syrian Democratic Forces, which is the ones with the Kurds. Same thing. But Assad comes out one day and he says, you know what? I'm going to announce to the people of Syria that I'm going to have a power sharing plan with the opposition. Not Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Tahrir al-Sham, ISIS, not Al-Tanf down fucking south, but real opposition, real opposition parties in Syria. This is good news for Syrians, bad news for us, because this will create a legitimacy in the Assad regime government that we don't want to see happen. So immediately, when he says he's going to do this, in comes the fucking press into the presidential fucking establishment or palace or whatever to hold a press conference, and they're setting up the cameras. Poof! Assad and his wife and his brother decide to hop on a military helicopter and leave and never be seen or heard from again. What happened? Same thing happened. Because these people aren't creative. They can't figure out something new. They said, we got a major problem. We have been working these fucking generals who are close to Assad, who Assad trusts, for years. We're going to call them, and we're going to say, we need you now to activate. Sleeper cell. They had a sleeper cell in fucking Damascus. And so the generals and then president of fucking Syria were our assets. And they took him. They took him, his lovely wife, and his brother to make sure no fucking Assad could ever come back to power. They took them and killed them. That's why you've never seen Bashar al-Assad make any kind of statement or any kind of thing outside. He's in Russia. He's hanging out with hookers. He's doing fucking ecstasy. He's at the nightclubs. He's at the nightclubs of Kash Patel. No, Kash Patel's there. There's no Assad there. Because we killed Bashar al-Assad. And we used the generals to do it. People close to it. Same thing that happened in 2002. The only difference was they killed him rather than risking him being brought back. Now, another difference in that was they had the generals issue orders even before it was announced that Bashar al-Assad was not going to go downstairs and do the interview, make the statement where the press was waiting. Before they even announced the fact that he was missing or had hopped on a helicopter, the generals are given the order, Assad's gone. Throw down your weapons and leave your posts. Why would somebody who's loyal to the people of Syria, Assad gone or not, why would they tell their fucking military, why would they tell the people that follow them to throw down their weapons and just let America's fucking ISIS guys come marching into fucking Damascus and take over the government? They did that because the generals who gave the order were the ones who killed Bashar al-Assad, his beautiful wife, and his brother on our behalf. Now, why do I tell you all that in relation to Nicolas Maduro and a bunch of AK-47s? It's clear. All of that mob, 200,000, 400,000, a million, who cares? But all that mob had when they came marching down there were farm implements and stuff like that. Now they got AK-47. His preparation is, even if you have one of my fucking generals, even if you have somebody that I trust who's going to remove me and try to do this fucking coup in that fashion, the people now have a shit ton of fucking weapons. They're going to come and they're going to slaughter whoever you fucking put in place. Machado, whatever her fucking name is, Juan Guaido, whoever you try to put in place, the head of the fucking Venezuelan fucking Chamber of Commerce, they're not going to slow down for the fucking palace guard this time. They're going to come in like Bolivarian Revolution. They're going to come in like fucking Che Guevara. They're going to come in and it's going to be god-awful because there's now 1 million of them with AK-47s. They didn't have them before, and now they got them. And that's what he did. That was Nicolas Maduro's brilliant fucking move, a nuclear option. Nuclear option. Right now, Maduro was saying, I'm the one who defends these people. If you end up successfully killing me, I made sure they can defend themselves. Or at least have a shot at it. So yeah, what the fuck is Donald Trump what is little fucking Narco Marco going to do? All they can try to do is posture and bow up and stand around saying, we're going to get you, we're going to get you, we're going to get you, but then never really fucking do anything. And hope that inside the country there's enough tension created that something kicks off. These people are desperate. Look at the Gen Z revolution taking place in Mexico as we speak. The poorly attended Gen Z revolution led by the young people with a whole bunch of fucking 45, 50-year-old business people out on the streets trying to act like that fucking Steve Buscemi fucking meme. Hey, fellow kiddos. Trying to act like fucking kids. And then they get them all cramped together. They get one picture. And like, oh my God, it's 1 million of them. And then the next thing you see is a video. And it's like 500 all cramped together. And then and the rest of the square is completely empty. Being organized from outside the country via Discord servers and fucking TikTok and fucking Instagram. They're failing in Latin America. They should have been failing in fucking Gaza. They should have failed in Gaza. I don't know what the fucking Russians and the Chinese did. Maybe this has got something to do with that. Maybe Donald Trump now saying, we can talk to Maduro. Maybe that's got something to do with the betrayal from the Russians and the Chinese in terms of Gaza and Palestine. They sold Gaza and Palestine out. Because they didn't want to have to fucking start a goddamn war. And that's some bullshit, if you ask me. But that's Venezuela. That's where we are right now. And I'm still going to do this at 7 o'clock. Oh, dear God, that's 3 hours. I'm still doing this at 7 o'clock. And it'll be short. It'll be short. The 7 o'clock thing will be short. We'll just talk briefly about a couple of things. And that'll be that. But there you go. That's the update on Venezuela. And the Cartel de las Soles. The Cartel of the Sons. Dum, 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 dum.